Welcome back. This week we're going to talk about the penultimate steps. And before I get into that, I just want to apologize again for being at the whiteboard. I was hoping to be outside today, but the weather is still not cooperating. It's pretty cold. It rained all day yesterday. It snowed just down the road from us. So hopefully soon. Anyways, penultimate steps are the topic of the day. And before we get into things, I just want to define what I mean by penultimate steps. The word ultimate means the last. Penultimate means the second to last. So we're basically talking about the last two steps of your jump. Now I've drawn a little diagram up here. We've got our bar right here. This is our pit in here. And then these are our last steps. So I'm going to treat the last two steps as in this is a step and this is a step. So we're going to go from if we're taking off with our left foot, obviously switch this if you take off with your right. We're going to go from our left foot, left foot, taking off with our left foot. That is all we're going to talk about today. Now the first thing I want you to do is actually pause the video for a second and go jump. Just simply walk down the hall, walk down the sidewalk somewhere, and just go from a walking motion to jumping off of one foot. And as you do this a few times, 3 or 4 times, pay attention to what your body does to get into that jumping position. You're going to notice a few things. The first thing is that second to last step, so if you're jumping off with your left foot, this second to last step is a little bit shorter, it's a little bit quicker. And then that last step is a little bit longer, a little bit slower. So this is going to be short and quick. This is going to be long and slow. Short, quick, long, and slow. You're going to notice this as you do this. Another thing you're going to notice is that during this step, you're going to raise yourself up a little bit, just like you're running. But then during this step, you're going to lower yourself. You're going to lower your center of gravity. That's how jumping works. In order to jump, basically you lower your center of gravity, and then you push off, and you leave the ground. That's a pretty simple concept. I hope that all makes sense. So, those last two steps, you're going to do a short, quick step where you raise yourself up a little bit. Last step is going to be a long and slow step where you lower yourself down and then jump. So go outside, pause the video, go outside and jump a few times and see what that motion is. See what the penultimate steps do just naturally, the way your body naturally responds to needing to jump. So, do that. I'm assuming you're back now, you've already done that. Now let's talk about how to make the most of this in a jumping situation. So you're going to come into these last two steps, you're going to be moving pretty quickly. You're going to be leaning as well. Now the second to last step, you're going to notice as you watch videos, as you watch jumpers, as you watch yourself, that you'll do that exact same thing as you did when you were walking outside or walking down the hall. You're going to do a shorter, quicker step. You're going to raise yourself up just a tiny bit. In fact, it won't be much more than a normal running motion. In fact, you may not even raise yourself more at all than just a normal stride. But it will be quicker and shorter. And then as you go into that last step, you're really going to kind of stretch out for it. Now, I had the chance one time to jump with Mark Chen, and he jumped 7'4.5" back when he jumped in college. And he told me one of the key things that he learned when he jumped was blocking out. And what he means by that is, on that last step, you're taking a lot of horizontal motion and turning it into vertical motion. And what he meant by blocking out was basically stopping your horizontal motion and transferring it vertically. If your knees are bent, if your waist is bent, all that momentum, you've got to really fight it to transfer it vertically. But if you can keep your body straight as possible, that motion will naturally go into a vertical motion. You're using that line of your body to transfer it vertically. So think about that. As you come into this last step, you really kind of want to reach for that step. Reach your foot out and get yourself in a nice line away from the bar. And it'll be away in two ways. It'll be back, you'll be leaning back in order to take that horizontal motion vertically. You'll also be leaning away from the bar, like we talked about. That is what's going to cause the rotation over the bar. So you'll be leaning back, and then you'll also be leaning away from the bar. Those are the two important parts. Now, those things I think you'll be able to visualize on their own. So I'm going to let that go for now. The other thing that's really, really important is the rest of your body. True, your left leg is the one that's jumping, but the rest of your body can help so much in getting the maximum height possible. And the things I'm talking about are your arms and your leg, your trailing leg, which is your right leg. So, as you come into that jumping position and you reach out with that left foot and you block out and you get yourself a nice body line leaning back and away, where should the rest of your body be? Well, as you walk outside and as you were jumping, you should probably notice that your arms would naturally swing. They didn't swing hard or a lot, but they'd naturally just kind of swing and drive up. Same with your knee. That's what you want to do. You want to have, as you reach out, your right leg kind of trailing behind. You don't want to get your knee quite as high as if you were in a sprinting motion. Kind of let it drag almost. You might have even heard that. As you've jumped and seen people jump, you might have even heard people's legs drag, or their foot drag across the ground as they're jumping. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It can be if you drag it too hard, but it means that their leg is low. If your leg's low, you can swing it just that much more through and up. So as you keep that leg back, swing it through and up and drive it up, that's really going to give you an extra inch or two on your jump, as opposed to just a normal knee drive. Second, your arms. So as you reach out and your trailing leg is back, your arms should also be back. So that in that motion, or in that split second where you go from leaning to straight up and jumping right here over the bar, as you go from leaning to straight up, your arms are going to go from back to high. Get your arms really high. The more you can drive your arms, the higher you can get. So at this point, you're leaning back and away, your trailing leg is back, your arms are back. At this point, you're straight up, your knee is high, and your arms are high. In that split second, basically it's controlled chaos. You're just going to drive and push and jump as hard as you can. And if you do that, if you can coordinate that knee and your arms and that jumping motion all together, you're going to get incredibly high, and you're going to get that as high as you possibly can. If you don't, if you're just kind of coming up here and relying on your natural jumping ability to go over, you may jump high, but you'll never jump as high as you possibly can. To achieve your maximum, you've really got to coordinate all that motion into one just really powerful explosion off the ground. So that's the thing to work on today. Focus on your last two steps, recognize your body position, and make sure that you are really going from just a lean back to driving straight up into your last step.